Who are the best edge rushers in the NFL today? What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, back with another NFL rankings video. In this video, my top 25 edge defenders in the NFL entering 2022. The edge defender, they are thought of as the best pass rushers in the NFL, the primary pass rushers in the NFL. Who are the top 25 at the edge position? Before I give you those top 25 edge rushers, make sure that you do spike the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Join me on my journey to 40K. That is my goal before the kickoff of the 2022 NFL season. Now, let's rank some edge rushers. Kicking off my top 25 edge defenders in the NFL entering 2022, at number 25, we have Preston Smith of the Green Bay Packers. At one point, Preston Smith was talked about and discussed as sort of a disappointment of a signing for the Green Bay Packers, but last season he perhaps had his best season as a Green Bay Packer, taking off, having double-digit sacks, and providing a nice complementary pass rusher to Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark. Now, it is true that Preston Smith is the third best pass rusher on this team, but he is a quality one, and he does more than just rush the passer. Preston Smith is a solid three-down player. And a lot of the times in previous seasons, he was the afterthought to Za'Darius Smith, and then Rashawn Gary came onto the scene. We know what Kenny Clark can do in the inside. Preston Smith played more of a complementary role, but this season with Za'Darius Smith injured, Preston Smith took a bigger role and really played well on all three downs in every situation. He's a great power player. I think his strength comes from his ability to explode and utilize his speed to power, utilize bull rush to get to the quarterback. He's always set a strong edge and had a ton of power. He's not the biggest edge rusher in the world, but he is maybe one of the strongest. Preston Smith had a great season in 2021. We will see if he can do it again in 2022 as the complementary option in the Packers pass rush. The number 24 edge rusher in the NFL today is John Franklin-Myers of the New York Jets. Now, John Franklin-Myers belongs on this list because he is one of the most unique edge players in the NFL because he actually isn't an edge player. He played edge last year, and he was very good for the New York Jets in that role, but John Franklin-Myers is such a great defensive lineman as a complete package. I absolutely love his game. I would love for him to be on my favorite team because he can play, in my opinion, in every scheme and play in any alignment, in any position. This guy's athletic enough to line up as an edge player in a pinch, and he can also play on the inside and dominate as a pass rusher. I believe that in 2022, you're going to see John Franklin-Myers move back to the inside where he has been dominant in the past, specifically last season. But even this past season, he did such a great job stepping into the spot of Carl Lawson, who is expected to be their big-time pass rusher, and he really just was great in that role. So John Franklin-Myers, he can defend the run because of his strength on the edge, but he can also move to the inside and beat some guards and centers with quickness. He has that complete package of a complete defensive lineman that can move and be versatile across a defensive line, and those guys I very much love. He is a very underrated player that I don't think should be as underrated as he is. So John Franklin-Myers, the complete overall versatile edge player, here at number 24. My number 23 edge rusher in the NFL entering 2022 is Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jags. Yes, that Josh Allen, not the other Josh Allen, not the Buffalo Bill Josh Allen, the Jacksonville Jag Josh Allen. And that kind of sucks that Josh Allen is known as Josh Allen 2 or the other Josh Allen because this guy's really good at football. And the thing with Josh Allen that I really respect is he is productive despite being the only real threat to get to the quarterback on his defensive line. And I do believe that help is coming his way in 2022. Of course, the first overall pick will definitely help free up Josh Allen. Josh Allen is that big-time pass rush threat. I think Trayvon Walker, as more of a well-rounded defensive end, can help Josh Allen have even more ability to get one-on-ones, isolations, and to get to the quarterback using his finesse, his burst off the line, and his ability to turn the corner and dip. Josh Allen has pure pass rushing ability, pure finesse pass rushing ability. I think he'll be phenomenal in this new system in Jacksonville, and I could see him taking off this season with a true breakout season with more help around him, specifically in the inside of the defensive line. But already you see Josh Allen with the capability to take over games, to dominate matchups, and to be the Jags pass rusher that they lean on to create that pressure, to get sacks. I think Josh Allen is one of the more underrated players at this position because he does not benefit from many other players on his line, and because he possesses the versatility to play in a lot of different spots. He can even drop back into coverage, which he also excels in space. He's that type of unique athlete. I think Josh Allen should stop being slept on just because his name is Josh Allen. My number 22 edge rusher in the NFL today is Marcus Davenport of the New Orleans Saints. This is a name that I bet you didn't expect to see on this list, but Marcus Davenport is one of the more under the radar defensive ends in football. He had 9 sacks in 11 games. And yes, Marcus Davenport does benefit from somebody like Cameron Jordan and also David Onyemata, but Marcus Davenport has proven to be a very good player in his own right over the last 2 to 3 years. He has excelled as a pass rusher, as a player that can excel through athleticism, pure, ridiculous athleticism, speed, power, size. Davenport has it all. Not only that, but he's great in all facets of the game. When it comes to setting the edge and run defending, he was great right off the bat. He has grown as a pass rusher and has obviously benefited from the presence and the leadership of Cameron Jordan. But Marcus Davenport just needs to piece together 16 to 17 games, and we could be discussing him as a top 10 edge rusher in the future. I really do believe that. I mean, 9 sacks in 11 games last year, that is absolutely ludicrous. This guy has the potential to dominate. He just needs to stay on the field for a full season. My number 21 edge rusher in the NFL entering 2022 is Haason Reddick of the Philadelphia Eagles, formerly of the Carolina Panthers and the Arizona Cardinals. Reddick now has proven in back-to-back seasons that he is one of the premier edge rushers in the NFL with back-to-back double-digit sack seasons, which gets a lot of credit from me. A lot of guys can go out there and get 10 sacks in one season, but not back-to-back seasons. Reddick now moves to the Eagles, where he is a perfect fit for Philadelphia. I could see him playing a little bit of stand-up linebacker in traditional 4-3 sets, and then moving to the edge on those nickel packages, in those passing downs, and complementing what they already have there, from Brandon Graham to Fletcher Cox to Javon Hargrave to Jordan Davis. They have a lot of elements on this defensive line, and Reddick is going to be the biggest beneficiary of these moves that the Eagles have made, because he is going to get a lot of easy one-on-one protections and blocks, and he's gonna feast through his ability to get around tackles with his speed, with his quickness, with his pass rushing ability. And he has true ability to use, as a smaller guy, that quickness, the hand usage, and the dip to turn the corner. He is also a pretty good blitzer and not a half bad cover player for this position. I think Haason Reddick is a overall pretty complete edge player. He does suffer a bit in the run defending department because he is a smaller guy, but overall, Reddick has succeeded on multiple teams in multiple schemes, and I think he will once again with the Eagles. My number 20 edge defender in the NFL today is Leonard Floyd of the Los Angeles Rams. Leonard Floyd last season had a huge season that I feel like was not appreciated enough. Leonard Floyd is one of my favorite underrated edge players. Over the last couple of years, he has proven that he can be one of the most complete players at this position. If you want him to cover a running back out of the backfield, he can do that with the athleticism and the length to be able to break up passes. He can drop back into zone coverage. He can be a player that is really well utilized in blitz packages and schemes up front. He can also set the edge. He can also get to the quarterback with his incredible length. I feel like Leonard Floyd is just an awesome athlete, and he is such a great complement to what they possess in Aaron Donald. How they utilize Aaron Donald to set up Leonard Floyd as a pass rusher is very unique and very difficult to stop. And then you benefit also from Von Miller in the playoffs last year, and you just saw Leonard Floyd take over and have awesome games. It was just really difficult to block this defensive line when they were at their peak last year, and it was a pure dominating force. Leonard Floyd, I really feel like he could play in any defense. Obviously, he's not going to be your go-to pure pass rusher, but he can do so many of the little things well that you don't really care that he's not always a productive pure pass rusher, but he definitely has games where he can be. So Leonard Floyd is my number 20. My number 19 edge defender in the NFL entering 2022 is a man that had 18.5 sacks in 2021. An absolutely absurd season by the ageless Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn is my number 19, and I understand that this could look a little low because he had 18.5 sacks last year, even in most of the season without Khalil Mack. So let's not pretend like he was benefiting a ton from Akeem Hicks or Khalil Mack, because they weren't really there, which I give him a ton of credit for. I just don't know how realistic it is to expect the old man Robert Quinn to repeat his performance last year. He's another guy that kind of didn't do a ton in terms of down-to-down pressure, but he converted a ton of his pressures to sacks, which is a crucial skill. Like, I think sacks are almost becoming underrated in the NFL today, because there are certain guys that just know how to convert pressure to sacks and some guys that don't, and sacks are huge game-changing plays. Robert Quinn could do that last year. He's also great at forcing fumbles, and he's been great at this for a long time. There was one point in time where Robert Quinn was one of the best defenders in the NFL, like one of the top 10 pure defenders in the NFL, not just defensive ends. And he has had an up and down career throughout the rest of his career since his peak, but last year was certainly an up. And if he can continue that, I mean, you could argue that he should be higher on this list. It's just really difficult to project a guy that's in his later 30s now to have another amazing season. So I have him at number 19, but I really respect him, really like the player, and I've always liked Robert Quinn. My number 18 edge rusher in the NFL entering 2022 is Emmanuel OGBAH of the Miami Dolphins. OGBAH has been incredible since joining the Miami Dolphins and Brian Flores' defensive scheme. The only question is, how will OGBAH play post Brian Flores? Last season, he led the NFL at his position in passes knocked down. He is incredible at using his long arms and range to be able to bat passes down and get in the passing lanes. Because of his athleticism, Flores was able to move him around, set him up in schemes, blitzing up front, and then also utilizing his ability as a bigger edge rusher to be able to rush off the edge and win one-on-one matchups. I believe that Emmanuel OGBAH is a perfect fit for what they do in Miami, and as long as they keep him doing what he's been doing, he will be successful and a 10+ sack guy once again. He has proven to be a top 25 edge rusher over the past 2 seasons, and I believe he might only get better with Jalen Phillips coming in on the other side, helping him on the other side, take some attention away from him. But OGBAH I absolutely love because of how versatile, how athletic, and how gifted he is as a big man with the quickness and the ability to play on the edge. My number 17 edge rusher entering 2022 is Harold Landry of the Tennessee Titans. A breakout season for Landry in 2021, where he greatly benefited from the breakout of Jeffrey Simmons on the inside. Landry is the perfect complement as a edge rusher to the interior force that is Jeffrey Simmons, and that duo really unlocked the potential of this Tennessee defense. What I didn't see coming in 2021 was this front seven and this pass rush just unlocking and unleashing, and Landry took a massive step forward in his ability as a pass rusher. I saw it coming out of college. I absolutely love this guy coming out of Boston College, and he's pieced everything together. Under the tutelage of Mike Vrabel, he has been able to become one of the best pass rushing edge rushers in the NFL. His ability to get around the corner, dip, bend, and get to the quarterback is up there with the best of them. He can create game-changing plays, and he also has enough athleticism to be pretty versatile as well within that Vrabel scheme. I think he, again, is a perfect complement to what they have in the force that is Jeffrey Simmons. Danico Autry was also a nice piece on that D-line, and I really like Landry. I think he's a very good player that's only just started to hit his potential, really. So at number 17 is Harold Landry. The number 16 edge rusher in the NFL today is Brian Burns. Brian Burns hit a little bit of regression in 2021. He was not quite the productive down-to-down pass rusher that he was in 2020, but he is still one of the most difficult pass rushers off the edge to deal with because the highs of Brian Burns, the best of Brian Burns, is truly special and truly upper echelon. This guy possesses all of the elite traits of a finesse speed rusher. He has that athleticism, that freaky length and quickness and bend. He has it all. He can piece together incredible moves to get around different tackles, and really when he's at his best, he's nearly unstoppable and unblockable. But Brian Burns was a little bit more inconsistent last year, and he has been a little bit more inconsistent than I would like in the run game. Burns has been capped at the 9 sack mark over the last couple of seasons. If he can find a way to get over that hump and find a way to truly become consistent as a pass rusher and better as a run defender, I do believe that he possesses all the elite athletic traits to become one of the very best pass rushers and edge players in the NFL. Really love his skill set. The number 15 edge rusher entering 2022 is the legendary Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones has over 100 sacks in his career. He had another double-digit sack season in 2021 with over 10, and the guy has like 6 or 7 of those over the course of his career. He now is a Las Vegas Raider, and the thing I love about Chandler Jones moving forward is how he may become the number 2. He might become the Robin to Maxx Crosby's Batman in Las Vegas, and he has never been the Robin. He's never been the Robin in New England, never been the Robin in Arizona. He's always been the go-to pass rusher, the guy that gets double teamed, the guy that gets the attention. He's had good pass rushers around him, but never great, never elite. This may unlock the next level of Chandler Jones late in his career and help him continue to rack up stats and sacks, because Chandler Jones can change games. That's what I respect about him. He may be a little bit more inconsistent than the elite of the elite pass rushers, but what Chandler Jones can do in every game is make 1 or 2 plays where he changes the course of the game. In the run game, in the pass game, a sack, a forced fumble, a big play, a tackle for loss. Chandler Jones knows how to create and make big plays. His length is incredible. He utilizes that to his advantage as a pass rusher and even to set the edge in the run game. He's just a sack artist. He understands how to get sacks, how to get himself in position to get sacks. And he's very savvy and very smart. This is an all-time edge rusher, and I believe he still has a lot left in the tank, 1 year removed from a significant injury. So Chandler Jones is at number 15. My number 14 edge rusher in the NFL entering 2022 is DeMarcus Lawrence of the Dallas Cowboys. DeMarcus Lawrence has been one of the more disrespected edge rushers in the NFL, because a lot of times DeMarcus Lawrence doesn't have eye-popping sack numbers or eye-popping stats, but he is always consistently one of the highest graded defensive ends in the NFL. and he's also one of the more versatile, and I don't think he gets enough respect or credit for that. He is very good at moving all over the defensive line, whether it's in the interior to rush the passer, use his quickness, or to set the edge with his length on the edge. I believe that DeMarcus Lawrence is a perfect combo for Micah Parsons. I believe that that is one of the best, most underrated combos in the NFL, because Lawrence can be like the Eric Armstead to Nick Bosa. He can play on the edge on early downs. He can move to the interior on the third downs and the passing situations, and be a perfect complement to the ridiculous athlete that is Parsons, whether he's at linebacker or edge. And DeMarcus Lawrence is just good all around. He can really play the run game. He is excellent against the run, no matter where you play him. He is a savvy pass rusher. He's not the greatest in the world because he doesn't possess the greatest bend in the world, but for a bigger guy, he is great using his length and his hand fighting skills to get to the quarterback. He's also a relentless football player and one of the smarter Dallas Cowboys on the team. I think DeMarcus Lawrence is consistently underrated, and he is here at number 14. The only thing I will say is the injuries have held him back from ranking any higher on this list, but if he continues to play at the game-to-game rate that he has been playing recently, he will be inside the top 10 next year. My number 13 edge rusher in the NFL today, entering 2022, is Cameron Jordan of the New Orleans Saints. A lot like DeMarcus Lawrence, Cameron Jordan is extremely underappreciated for how valuable he is to his defense. Not just because he's a pure pass rushing specialist. He's not one of the best elite pass rushers at just getting to the quarterback, but he's excellent in all areas of the game. He's a phenomenal run defender, one of the best at his position, arguably the best. He's really good pass rushing from all areas of the defensive line. Whether you line him up in the inside or you line him up on the outside, he can use his power and his hand fighting ability at the line of scrimmage to get to the quarterback. I think he's a phenomenal guy at utilizing speed to power and bull rushing opposing linemen. He is excellent in that regard, and he has this unique body and strength and skill set where you can play him on the inside, and he's almost as big as a lot of defensive tackles in the NFL. And he sets up guys like Marcus Davenport to have really good ability to get off the edge and play that way. So, and even at his older age, Cameron Jordan has proven to be one of the best edge rushers in the NFL today. My number 12 edge rusher in the NFL is the legendary Von Miller, now of the Buffalo Bills. The Bills Mafia is going to fall in love with Von Miller, not because of what he does in the regular season, but what he does in the clutch. When it comes prime time, when it comes playoffs, Von Miller is perhaps the most clutch edge rusher we have seen over the past decade. This guy just comes through with plays, with his best performances, and last year with the Rams, he absolutely dominated his competition in the biggest of moments. Von Miller is a game changer. Von Miller is that edge rusher that knows how to make a play in the biggest moment, and he always sets the tone for his defense. Von Miller, what amazes me about him and his skill set is how great he is, not only as a finesse speed rusher with the greatest bend we've seen perhaps of all time, but also his power in the run game. He is extremely underrated for his run defense and his strength at the point of attack. Von Miller can hold the edge, set the edge, and make a play in the run game, and then on third down, come through with a key sack and a key pass rush rep. Von Miller is still very, very good. Is he what he was in 2015 in his prime? No, but he's still excellent, and he's still one of the premier pass rushers in the NFL today. The number 11 edge rusher in the NFL entering 2022 is Danielle Hunter of the Minnesota Vikings. Hunter, when he played last year, he proved once again that he is one of the best pass rushers in the game and one of the most dominant pass rushers in the game, with a ridiculous sack to game ratio last season. Danielle Hunter can just take over games wherever you align him on the defensive line. I believe he is one of the true players that could play in any system for his freakish athleticism. He is freakishly strong and also freakishly quick. He can play on the interior. He can play on the edge. He can beat you with quickness. He can beat you with power. He can beat you with bend. He can beat you with length. It really doesn't matter. Danielle Hunter can kind of do it all, and he's still kind of young. So even with his inconsistencies with injuries and just not coming to play in recent moments in the past, I feel like Danielle Hunter is still one of the best that the NFL has to offer and can easily set the tone on a defensive line and make everyone around him a much better player. So Hunter is my number 11. Entering the top 10 edge rushers in the NFL today, at number 10, we have Matt Judon of the New England Patriots. Matt Judon took over games and took off with the New England Patriots in 2021. Moving from the Ravens scheme to the New England scheme, Belichick rarely utilizes players the way that he utilized Matt Judon. He just said, Judon, get to the quarterback. And early in the year, he was dominant. He was taking over games, and he was by far the best player in this defense, snap to snap. They had to double team him, and once teams started to double team him, it sort of became an issue for Judon. I feel like he would be higher on this list if he performed the way he did early in the year for the entire season, but he sort of faded at the end of the year. I'm not sure if injury was a problem or just the attention he was getting was so immense that nobody else could really capitalize outside of Christian Barmore. But Judon, to me, I love his game because he's so good in all areas. I think he's excellent at closing space. He has great length and also very, very deceptive athleticism. When I thought of Matt Judon with the Ravens, I thought of a very stout player, but you saw him take over with actual pass rushing ability, quickness, and speed and athleticism that we did not really see with the Ravens too much. And maybe that's because of the Ravens scheme that's based a lot on power and setting the edge. And New England typically is that way, but with Judon, they allowed him to play as a pure pin your ears back type of guy. And they haven't really done that since Chandler Jones. And we saw them benefit from that greatly with Judon. He's great at closing space in the run and the pass game and not giving up on plays as a pass rusher. He can play the run very well. He can drop back in coverage occasionally. He is a complete edge rusher for this Patriot system, and that is why he belongs at number 10. If he can complete the season the way he played last year earlier in the year, I think he'd be even higher on this list, and I think he could be higher on this list entering next season. My number 9 edge rusher entering 2022 is Khalil Mack of the Los Angeles Chargers. I feel like for Mack, things became a little stale for Mack in Chicago over the last couple of years. He was dealing with some injuries, and overall, I can understand if he was losing some motivation on that football team. But with the Chargers, I could see Mack really getting reinvigorated, remotivated, regenerated, playing with and under Brandon Staley once again, who got a lot out of Khalil Mack in former seasons. I think Mack is going to have an awesome year in 2022. And he was really good in 2021 when he played. He was hurt a bit, and that took away from the success and the numbers. But when he played, Mack was still one of the 10 best edge rushers in the NFL without a doubt. One of the guys that defenses still needed a game plan around and double team and make sure that he didn't wreck the game. Mack is still that type of player, and he's still one of the more complete edge players. He has great power to set the edge in the run game, great ability to use his power as a bull rush player from speed to power as that pass rusher. He's also a really awesome athlete. And I'm going to be intrigued to see how they utilize Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack as an edge duo, because those guys can be awesome together, especially because they're sort of similar with how they rush the passer. Mack has also shown that he can, in his career, drop back in coverage and do some wicked things that way. Brandon Staley is going to utilize him the best he's been utilized in a couple seasons. And like I said, he was looking like a very productive pass rusher a year ago with his sack to game ratio that I love. So Khalil Mack is still as dominant as ever. He's not quite at his peak, but he is not as far removed from his peak as a lot of people think. I feel if he was healthier last year, I'd have him a little bit higher on this list. I think he's going to have an awesome year and a lot of success in 2022 as a more motivated pass rusher. The number 8 edge defender in the NFL entering 2022 is the Green Bay Packers' Rashan Gary. I remember a time where everybody was thinking Rashan Gary was drafted too high, he was overdrafted, the Packers were dummies for drafting him that high, and he was gonna be a bust, all this talk, and now those same people have turned around the conversation to Rashan Gary as one of the best young pass rushers in the NFL today. And that is a fact. There is no denying Rashan Gary's presence on a football field entering 2022 as one of the game's best young edge defenders in the league. Not only as a pure pass rusher, but also as a run defender. He has elevated the Packers' presence on all 3 downs. Last year, it is not a mistake that the Packers were a better run defense. Not a great one, but better, at least, moving in the right direction. Because Rashan Gary is just such a well-rounded, awesome football player. And he's a better, well-rounded, pure pass rusher than Za'Darius Smith. Za'Darius Smith is a better player in terms of the games that they would run and benefiting from blitzes and the scheme of the Green Bay Packers. But Rashan Gary is just a guy that can pin his ears back and find a way to get to the quarterback. Whether it's through dip and bend or it's through that power that he possesses. It's crazy that people thought that this guy that is this gifted and athletic, they didn't think he would be great in the NFL, but he is really awesome, and I think he could be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. That is the trajectory that Rashan Gary is truly in as a game-changing edge player. My number 7 edge rusher in the NFL, a guy that I feel is extremely disrespected, is Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't understand why people continue to underrate Trey Hendrickson. Do you watch the guy play? He's absolutely relentless as a pass rusher. This guy is the most relentless pass rusher in the NFL. He goes after it. He gets it. And when it's a big game, a big moment, he takes over. He just has the dog in him that I love to see. But he's also incredibly quick, incredibly gifted as an athlete. I don't think people give him the credit for how good he is at bending the corner and getting to the quarterback. He's also good at using power and good at using his hands and leverage to get inside to get to the quarterback as well. He was the go-to pass rusher for the best team in the AFC last year. And no matter the moment, he came through with big plays, game after game, time after time. It's been 2 seasons in a row where Hendrickson has been one of the game's most productive play-to-play pass rushers, and he's going to continue to do that in 2022. I understand he looks like your dad, but he is a good friggin' football player that deserves to be in the top 7 or 8. I believe that Hendrickson needs to stop being disrespected. He is excellent. My number 6 edge rusher in the NFL today is Shaq Barrett of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Absolutely love Shaq Barrett's well-rounded game as an edge rusher. He just does whatever Todd Bowles asks him to do in his scheme. Whether it's drop back in coverage and intercept Jalen Hurts in the playoffs, or it's get to the quarterback, utilizing his quick little setup moves with his feet and his head fakes that he utilizes better than anybody in the league, or it's the ability to set the edge, because in this defense, you gotta set the edge. Vita Vea's in the middle, nobody's running up the middle on the Bucs. So they all test Shaq Barrett, and he just shuts it down, man. He turns the corner, and he does not allow a tackle to move him at all. He is deceptively strong and very good at setting the edge. Just a edge player that is perfect for Todd Bowles' system, whether it's as a blitzer, it's as a drop back coverage player, it's as a run defender, it's as a pass rusher. Shaq Barrett does it all. Absolutely love this guy at number 6. Entering the top 5 edge rushers in the NFL today, at number 5, Joey Bosa of the Los Angeles Chargers. Joey Bosa is a phenomenal pass rusher. He is so refined at this point, such an excellent power rusher. His ability to use his conversion of speed to power to just dummy tackles is otherworldly, excellent, amazing. He is a lock for double-digit sacks as long as he plays a full season. Joey Bosa is that darn good, and he will be for a number of years. He is a lock as an awesome player for the Chargers every season. He is just that good, in my opinion. And Joey Bosa is going to benefit now. Something he didn't have last year was a partner in crime on the other side. Khalil Mack is going to take some of the pressure off of Joey BOSA and allow him to shine even more, have less double teams, and benefit from that other player on the other side the way that he did early in his career with Melvin Ingram. Joey BOSA, stop sleeping on the guy. I understand he has a brother that's more popular than him, but Joey BOSA is just as good. He is a well-rounded, awesome pass rusher and edge defender that I think is going to have a huge year in 2022. The number 4 edge rusher in the NFL entering 2022, I just talked about his brother Joey. It is Nick Bosa of the San Francisco 49ers. The thing that pops off the screen for me with Nick Bosa is his explosiveness. Nick Bosa is one of the most explosive athletes in the NFL, period. It doesn't matter the position. He just absolutely pops off the line of scrimmage. He explodes, and he uses such power to absolutely destroy offensive lines. Joey BOSA is a great athlete. Nick Bosa is an even better athlete than Joey BOSA. Joey's maybe a little bit longer, I believe. Nick's maybe a little bit shorter in the arms, but he has more quickness, more twitch, more power, more strength. This guy is a ball of muscle. It's incredible to watch this guy play because he's so good at just dummying tackles in all facets of the game. And he's only getting better. Like, I don't think we've seen the peak of Nick Bosa. He's a dominant force that from day one was dominating the NFL. And I think he'll continue to do that moving forward. The number 3 edge rusher in the NFL today is MAXX CROSBY of the Las Vegas Raiders. MAXX CROSBY is such an awesome football player to watch. I respect this guy so much. Obviously, the story off the field is incredible, but you watch this guy play on every snap. He is so relentless. This guy never gives up, and he is the ultimate Raider to me. When you just show MAXX CROSBY, he looks like a Raider. He feels like a Raider, and he plays like a Raider. 20 more pressures than any other pass rusher in the NFL last year at his position. Absolutely phenomenal feat last year, what he was able to do on every single snap. And it's not because MAXX CROSBY is more gifted than other players at this position. He is just so relentless. He is one of the hardest working players there is. He, in every game, just did not give up. Every big situation, he was after the quarterback. And it just felt like he never stopped. Like every play, it's like MAXX CROSBY's in the backfield. MAXX CROSBY's in the backfield. MAXX CROSBY's chasing the quarterback down. MAXX CROSBY's making him play in the run game. And he's not just a good finesse player, not just a good player that jumps off the line in a hurry, which he's amazing at timing the snap count and jumping off the ball. Incredible. But he's also really good against the run. Like really good against the run too. He's become a complete player, and he continues to get better and better and better. I can't wait to see him play with Chandler Jones. I think his quickness off the ball combined with Chandler Jones's length is going to be something to watch for the Raiders. I think Crosby is so good and still kind of underrated at number 3. The number 2 edge rusher in the NFL entering 2022 is Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is simply not from Earth. He has incredible length, incredible power, incredible strength, phenomenal speed, and quickness. He is not from Earth. This guy can track down Justin Fields in space, dummy a double team on the next play, eat up a running back, like do it all. It doesn't matter. He is a specimen of a specimen. That is what Myles Garrett is. He is just an absolute freak show. Like this guy could play D tackle. He's strong enough. This guy could play 3-4 outside linebacker because he's quick enough sideline to sideline. He has the burst off the line to play a 4-3 D end. Like he is just all around one of the best athletes in the world. Period. And the number 1 edge rusher in the NFL today is TJ Watt of the Pittsburgh Steelers. TJ Watt with the incredible sack record last season. phenomenal year in terms of sacks, the ultimate sack artist in the game today. But why I put TJ Watt at number 1 is because he finds a way to change the game every game. TJ Watt, no matter if it's a sack, if it's a key pressure, if it's a key hit, if it's an interception, if it's a forced fumble, if it's a batted pass, TJ Watt can find a way to impact the game more often than any other player at this position. And that is why you could argue he is not only the best edge player in the NFL, but the best defensive player in the NFL. I think many would argue it's between him and Aaron Donald. And TJ Watt's ability to impact a game on a play-to-play basis is absolutely off the charts. And not only that, but his value was felt last year. When he was not on the field, the Steelers are not the same defense. You clearly see that over the last couple of years. TJ Watt takes over games, elevates people around him, and does it all in all facets. With a great motor, with great finesse, excellent power, just every trait that a pass rusher needs to succeed, TJ has it. TJ has it. Is he the guy that pops off the screen with Von Miller-like bend? Not really, but he utilizes great quickness, great hand usage, and great ability to set up tackles to get to the quarterback like nobody's business. I feel like TJ Watt is the ultimate edge defender in the modern NFL, and he is my number 1. Thank you guys for watching my top 25 edge rushers in the NFL today. If you enjoyed, don't forget to spike the like button and subscribe to the channel for more BLV just like this. Let me know who you have on your list for the top edge rushers in the NFL. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's Mitch. Peace.